in the moment, I mean, I don't know how many people, but it just looked like a sea of people with just banging on the windows.
Uh-huh.
And then you see the windows are starting to crack as they're hitting them with poles. And then I see a guy in there do the motion of like pulling a gun out of his vest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that's a gun. I'm from America. I know what this is.
Stop,
and so,
drop.
yeah, I'm like, time to drop. And I hear the pop of the gun. And that's an unmistakable sound.
Right.
And I know people like said there's no guns in France and this and that. I know that sound, man. And as soon as I heard the sound, you see the little crack on the window, and then, and it's like, shit, that's a gun.
Live from San Francisco, it's Waiting to Drive with Sergio Lopez, Joshua Lawyer, and guest John Wentz. That's the best reaction ever to my intros.
I'm literally Do you change it every time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
the best
perfect,
part.
And
man.
I never know what he's going to do.
Oh, my God.
God, that was the
literally
best one.
It's even better because I just watched a little bit of SNL last week.
And the voice was kind of spot on in a weird way.
Yeah, you had it down until you broke, until you laughed.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold it. You guys
that was
just,
awesome.
I was expecting you guys to bust out laughing. Well, anyways, yeah, where to go from here?
Thanks for doing this, John.
And
Thanks for,
Yeah, we had
cutting out a piece of your San Francisco trip to come sit and be silly with us for a little bit.
at the big table.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to Edena for letting us use her house.
Thank you,
And
Renee.
Houston.
And Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing this. We were supposed to do it a while ago, but you got busy right before your solo show at
Yeah.
Hashimoto, so
Sorry about that.
no apologies needed.
But then Delphine stepped in. So it was all good.
Boom, and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And we were like, John, who?
Yeah.
Story of my life.
But yeah, we made it happen, which is all that matters.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
Hell yeah. You're back from Paris.
Gay Perry.
Was
Yeah.
that?
Gay Perry?
Is that what they say?
You never heard that?
That's offensive, man.
Oops. I forgot we're in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the old term. That was like the 20s.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yes, I'm back from Perry.
Nice. How's it been? We were told yesterday that it's almost exactly a year since we recorded the last episode with you, or at least dropped the last episode with you.
Really?
Yes, I think Monty or someone was saying that it's almost like 2 years to the day.
Damn, 2 years.
Yeah. Or no, 2
year.
days to the year.
2 days to the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I thought it was in the summer for some reason.
No. Yeah, it was. I think it was.
Was that a Facebook memory?
February?
Is that why?
Yeah, it's a face. Yeah. 6 years ago to this day.
Yeah, John's been gone for 6 years. But yeah, how's it been?
Wait, real quick, who's your roster of returning people?
Jason
Guests.
Avery.
Jason Avery.
He was the
yourself.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had like
Well,
Leon
MJ.
helped us like co-host Leon
Oh.
LaSure.
Mhm.
Oh,
Same
yeah,
with
yeah.
Judson, right? He helped
Oh
me
yeah,
co-host.
Judson helped me co-host as well.
And MJ.
MJ. Yeah, MJ's in a second.
But I think you're our third guest return. I
Nice.
think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stoked.
Does that mean that you won third place?
Said third place.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Suck it, everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Podcast has changed a bit since you've been here.
It has. You guys have expanded. You have sound effects.
Yeah. We have temps. Wink, wink.
Interns.
Yeah, interns. MJ, go get me a coffee. That probably sounds horrible on the mic.
She's ignoring you.
Yeah. But yeah, how's Paris been?
Paris has been awesome.
You've done a full year, so you've experienced the
Off and on.
seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The summers suck.
Good to know.
Yeah. I don't recommend the summertime. It gets pretty hot. Winter gets pretty cold.
So it's
Spring is perfect.
Huh.
Yeah. Fall's good too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And the food?
Yeah. Food's amazing.
Still good?
Yep.
Nice.
The food's good.
Full on croissants and all that goodness.
I'm more into cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Sergio can
Fromage.
attest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my Instagram, fromage.
That's a French ass name.
Sergio's prepped all these sound effects.
I loaded that one up for Delphine.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't
Just
use it?
applies.
Yeah. Did you? You didn't use that one for her?
I used it once, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember.
When she pronounced her name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We listened to it in the car. That's what I was laughing at.
Nice.
That's a French ass name.
I like that you guys bond via our podcast.
Yeah, you guys brought us closer together. Thank you.
She told us they had this new obsession with cheese, or maybe it's been a long thing, but
No, it's a brand new thing. I hated cheese before.
Really?
Well, not like, French cheeses. I have an American palate. So it's like, sharp cheddar's a hot night on the town,
yeah, American cheese, it's like,
yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, when I first arrived, I told her I had 2 rules. 1 is no snails. 2 is no cheese. I wasn't going to do it. I haven't done the snails.
I've eaten snails.
Oh, why?
I don't know. Life is short, party hard. Is what a wise man once said.
That's my rule.
Stay safe.
Why eat snails? Stay safe. No, I won't do it.
Are they dangerous to eat? Is there something?
This is gross. Why would you do that?
I don't know. You could talk yourself right. It's like lobsters. You could be like, they're just giant spiders.
This is true, but at least they taste. Here's the thing. Anyone I know, and you'd probably say this if I give them 5 more minutes, is like, oh no, they don't actually have like a taste. They just take on the taste of whatever you put them in.
Yeah, then
why fucking eat it?
I've tried them once, and it was just for my own experience. It's like,
did you pull them out of your backyard, like out of curiosity, and cook them?
Yeah, no. Oh, just kidding. Jesus. No, I went to a restaurant, and it's that it's a delivery system for butter and garlic. So you're like, all right, well,
I'll bypass.
Bread is better.
Yeah.
Bread is better for that than snails.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, you could skip it, but I don't know. At the same time, I'm always like, I just want to experience it once. Maybe, maybe people are wrong or something.
Yeah,
but whatever.
You're more adventurous.
Yeah,
there's just certain things I won't.
Yeah,
eat.
like I've eaten human, and delicious, by the way.
That reminds me. Someone told me a story about that recently. Somebody eating human. No, I can't remember it. But do you ever see that documentary, Keep the River on Your Left or Keep the River on Your Right?
No, that's a cool title, though.
It is a cool title. There's a guy who lived with a tribe in New Guinea for like decades, and he ate human. Because they were a cannibalistic tribe. Yeah, and it was kind of, if I remember correctly, it was like his induction into the tribe. Like he was a missionary or something. And they killed a neighboring tribe. So part of their ritual when you kill a neighboring tribe is you eat them to take their power. So he was kind of put in a position of like, okay, I need to get along with this tribe. All right, try some human.
Wow. He could have done, like the party trick where someone gives you a shot and when they all take the shot,
out the side.
Yeah. He should have done that with the. They're like, why is that finger on the floor? He's like, oh, I don't know.
Somebody drop it.
I ain't mine.
Yeah. I don't know why I did it. He said human was.
Dark.
It's sweet. It tastes sweet.
Really?
It makes sense. It seems like it would be similar to pork. And pork has that like sweet, like kind of.
True. Yeah.
I feel like humans. I don't know. For some reason, I'm like humans are like pork. In my head, I've told myself this.
Yeah, I wonder. I imagine more like gamey. Like
really?
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why pork is always just because we're both kind of like have similar skin. I don't know. That's my connection. We both eat everything. Like pigs just eat whatever you throw in front of them.
Yeah. That's true.
So maybe a vegan tastes gamey.
Or no, maybe better. Like it's like grass-fed beef.
Oh, true.
So maybe a vegan actually tastes better. Take notes for the apocalypse.
What was the title for the documentary? Was it based on the fact that if you go to the wrong side of the river, you're dead?
Yeah, it was something like that. Like he got lost, and like the tribe was like, just if you ever get lost, or whoever is with said, keep the river on your left, and you'll get to where you need to go.
Huh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching this. I don't know if I brought this up before, but it was like Living with the Mechs, I think it's what it's called. It was like this Amazonian tribe and this documentary crew. They were doing something where they were living with them, and these guys went out into like the bush with this lady that was part of the tribe. They came back and she wasn't there, and they were like, "What happened to her?" And they were like, "Oh, she was a witch." And they were like, and so we killed her. And you're like, oh. And
they killed her.
Yeah, the tribe killed her, like, because of it was like a like a rumor thing, like she's a witch.
Oh yeah,
and you kind of see through like the filming that it's like her ex-boyfriend is like, she's a witch, guys, and then it was just like game over for her. The rumor started.
He was trying to get rid of her.
Yeah, and the documentary people, they're just, you could see it in their face where they're just like, oh, this isn't like some fun, we're just gonna film some people doing hunts and stuff. This is like, what if they call us a witch? Then we die, kind of scenario. So, So yeah, it's not a game out there.
No,
it's weird. That whole like tribal, like when you go and you see certain things where death is such a like a kind of a norm.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to kind of think and be like, well, everyone was like that at some point. And we live in a culture now where it's not the best idea to kill people and eat them in some scenarios.
Yes, I was reading this book, Sapiens. You heard that book?
I've heard of it, but
what's the guy's?
I don't know a lot about it.
Wait, let me look up my Kindle.
Oh, the author? I think it's Dr. Seuss.
That's it, yeah. Dr. Seuss. Yuval Harari. That's what it was, Yuval Harari.
Okay.
And it's like the history of mankind, and he opens the book talking about like older tribes like that, and just that exact same thing, like the ups and downs of that, because they're they said like now they know like psychologically, and this is like the premise of his book, that we humans exist better in like groups of 100 and no more.
Right, I've heard that.
And it starts to destabilize after that, and so they're talking. He was going through like interviews they've had people had with like New Guinea tribes, and there was stuff like that where like an elder was just annoyed by a kid, so he killed him.
Wow.
And then nobody like did it, and they're like, okay, I guess the kid's gone. Wow. And that's right. They were interviewing one of the ladies in the tribe about it, and she was just kind of not quite matter of fact, but not like devastated. She's like, well, he's one of the elders, and kid was annoying, so they snapped his neck.
It was annoying.
He never learned to share.
Yeah.
Too many fart jokes. Is that the one where they kind of can tell by a certain size part of your brain, like how big? I remember hearing something about like there's this, I don't know, scientist or something where he can look at a certain section of the brain and kind of see how big like the flock of seagulls or whatever will be based on that kind of part of the brain. And humans, I've heard something.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Similar, where like humans based on this part of the brain or something. I sound like an idiot right now, but
but you're saying like whatever it is, like if you open a dog's brain based on the size of it,
exactly. It'll tell you like the pack of dogs usually is about 10, and then they'll look. And
I think you're making this shit up, Josh. I've never heard that.
Have you read Dr. Seuss?
Jamie, pull that shit up.
That's the best.
No, I've never heard that, but it could be true.
Yeah, who knows? Damn, there was something I remember I wanted to bring up that you talked about or you posted on right before we were supposed to interview. Because I remember last time we interviewed, we talked about like cave drawings or something like that, and kind of how important, or this question you've been kind of pondering for a while of why we do what we do. And I remember right before we were supposed to interview, you kind of brought something up, and I read the article.
Oh, I posted like in a story or something. They fit like it. Was it the one with like they're even older than we think they were?
Yeah, or something like that. And then it had to do with just like why we create art. I don't know if it was the cave paintings.
Oh yeah, shit. What was that article?
I don't know. Fuck. I really let us into. I just remembered it right now for some reason. I was like, oh wait. There was something you posted that I was like, fuck, that's a good topic of conversation. Well, we'll never know. But it was going to be good.
It was. Now we're just in an intellectual ravine of nothingness. I wish I could remember. That was an interesting article.
Yeah.
It was like there was a more, they think there's like a more pragmatic reason to why we started making
that's
art.
what it was.
Yeah. It wasn't as because people, they postulate like it was, otherworldly or the spirit realm, and it was something like as simple as like they were just needed to practice throwing spears at something, or whatever.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation with Sergio before, where for me, the more I think about reasons of art, it's almost like just communication. That's like where I've kind of landed on for the main. I mean, there's other like reasons, but for me, it's just communication. And when I think back about like the cave drawings, it's just like they were just, developing language, but also like a visual language of like, this is bad cheetah thing. This is what we eat thing. Or, I mean, I have to assume this much, but to me, it's very much trying to explain your surroundings. And even nowadays with art, I think it's still that. It's still us trying to explain something, not necessarily how to be safe or anything, but just us trying to use it as a language.
But then, see, I agree with that for the most part, but then you have the drawings, like they're not drawings, but the ones that are like the hand silhouettes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like, then what are they
that was that
there?
Fucking abstract artist guy who's like, it's like, this
There's
is
always been one since the beginning of time. Where just one asshole's like, drawing? Why draw? Just spit.
He's like, you don't get the hand, man. It's too deep for you.
My kid could do that.
Exactly.
There you go. We solved it. There's always been that one asshole.
There's always been that one asshole. I could just see him now. He had like the best caveman hair and super thick frame glasses.
Yeah, all the girls in the tribe were flocking to him.
Yeah.
Look at all the hands he did. Guys over there drawing a bison, but
that guy doesn't get it. I don't know. Have you thought about that more? That seems, at least for me, it seems like this reoccurring question within artists, especially the farther along in their career they get. And almost like the attachment of success also seems to have this effect where you start pulling back and saying, why am I doing this? On a personal note kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever come to any conclusions, or is it just you?
No.
No,
not really. But I think they change, because at some point, like I think I go through like once a year of just like, oh, this is so lame, I should just stop. And then it could be anything from like, oh, well, this is just what I do, to like, well, this is how I make my living, so what am I going to do? So now I have to continue that, it's like, or you're like, man, I've put so much fucking time into this. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to go be a gardener.
Right.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I think I questioned recently, it's been about what's the point of painting as opposed to just making art. You know what I mean? Like narrow it down, like what, dirt you move around with hair on a stick. Like how long is that going to last? And especially in the digital environment that we're in, it doesn't seem like it has a long shelf life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a question we've definitely talked about a bit. Just because, I don't know. Maybe it's just us convincing ourselves, of why it's justified to do that. But, I don't know. There's that whole like idea of human legacy, or maybe just what's left behind after you die. And I think the preciousness of the physical object rather than a digital form, which doesn't seem to hold that value for some weird reason. I'm not exactly sure. Like it can be the greatest thing I've seen. Like, wow, that everything about that digital thing is great. But for some weird reason, I will never value it the same as a physical object in my house, for instance. Yeah,
but then you got to ask, is that something that's natural to people, or is that just you because of your experience? Because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But then, like, I was talking to somebody recently about vinyl, and I was talking about like with I have a nephew who's 20 years old, and I remember when vinyl came around again, like 5 years ago, or whatever, and he got a record player and he was all into it, and it lasted all of about 2 minutes, and he's like, it sounds fucking weird, because he grew up with the iPod and it's cleaner. He doesn't understand like the the wide variables of sound and stuff. He just knows that little compressed thing coming out of his phone,
right.
and he's happy with that.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Is like there's not a lack of longevity due to just like people in general. It's just the way technology is infiltrating and kids are growing up with that. Is there really, other than anything anachronistic, is there really any purpose to painting like as we know it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. For me, that's a big dilemma, because how much of that do I have to like acknowledge, right? Like how much of the viewer do I have to acknowledge? That's always the thing for me, is like, do I change based off of the audience, or do I sit and be a stubborn artist, and go, this is what I do, and the people that are into it, I'll curate and kind of have near me.
Right.
But I can't say because the market's going that way, I have to forfeit what I love so much.
And I wouldn't even think it from a market perspective. Like I'm asking that question to myself outside of money, just like, because if it's not, because I understand that you don't want to talk about money, but you do want to communicate with an audience.
Right.
And it's like when people talk about, you see, I remember, who's that guy a while ago? Whenever you see like a really good sketchbook or something, people are like, oh, that's the next Da Vinci. And you're like, no, if Da Vinci was alive, he wouldn't even be fucking with painting. Like he would be, he'd probably working at CERN or something like that. Like, it's because that was the new thing of the day and he innovated. So there's no more innovation in painting. So it's like, if you just want to communicate in a new way, like take the money out of it, then is painting the best method for that? Or is it a viable method?
That's interesting.
Like,
Yeah. I don't know.
Give me an answer, damn it. I'm going through a personal crisis, man.
You're putting me in one right now.
I remember hearing an artist say, like, if it, like the real artists of our time are just scientists, because innovation is just pushing forward, and artists, are, but I don't know. It's the thing of like house music versus an acoustic guitar. There is something, at least for me, where like the human in us, there is something that speaks to us on a deeper level, which sounds woo woo, but I do actually think that is true. Like there is something weirdly connected between us and certain arts. And I think no matter how far technology goes, we seem to have this, tribal kind of monkey in us that is drawn towards certain tones and certain, colors and these things. And technology can't necessarily bypass that or even improve it. It can just do it a different way.
Alter it in some way.
Yeah. I don't know if that's even an answer. It's just,
no, it is. I mean, that's kind of what I always fall back on. It's like, and then I have to wonder if, like, is that just me making excuses, or is that the way it is? Because I would defend, like, what you're saying the same way. Like, even coming over here, I was riding with my nephew, and lots of what the music he listens to, he's listening, like, he's gone back and back and back, and he enjoys more like Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or something like that than anything newer. And I'm like, yeah, it is just better. I hate to sound like my parents, but music was better then.
Exactly. And you go back to like Otis Redding and those guys, and you're like,
yeah, it's even better.
Yeah, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Nina Simone, you're like, I don't know. Can anyone do that better?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. We can do it different, or our take on what they did, but yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I don't necessarily, and music being kind of the stand-in for art. It is that, at least for my sake, for my comfort, it is that perfect analogy where I look at technology and say, like, there is these cool things they can do. There are like these amazing new innovations that you couldn't do before with, having to play with your hands and feet and mouth, but it doesn't necessarily add value as much as maybe just connect to the youth that in a certain way or something. I don't.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting topic too, is just kind of like how time defines art, and how if I listen to what young kids listen to now, there is that weird disconnect where I'm like, I don't hear what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Because for some weird reason, you think this is amazing. And I'm the old guy saying, you kids with your stupid musics,
They're YouTube rock stars.
Yeah. What is this? And I don't know, that's another interesting thing of like, how is there that weird disconnect between what you find amazing and what I find amazing, and and how does time play a kind of a role in that, or maybe it's just age and pushing out the old stuff and within, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I mean, I think this is kind of on the same topic. Like, I think I talked about this last time too. There's a neuroscientist, this Indian neuroscientist. His name is V.S. Ramachandran, and he does his specialties in amputees. He studies amputees and like especially like phantom limb syndrome.
Okay.
And then on the side, he's kind of an art enthusiast. So he started doing all these studies on, and you're all going to love this because he says abstract art is the superior art.
Oh, shots fired.
Here we go.
Shots fired!
The morning zoo. In a way, well, not just abstract. He says like exaggerated. His whole theory is like, you don't go overly realistic with things. So like hyperrealism would be on the end of the spectrum of like waste of time, to him. And he's studied like scans of the brain that like expose to certain images. And so he has a theory because he'll look at art and he says there is art that is just timeless, like they've tapped into something. And then when you look at, he calls that, I forgot what the name is for that, but kind of what you're talking about. He's like, but you will see trends over time, and they're called cultural overrides. So we do have like a natural instinct, but then fads come and go, and so there's these natural, like not natural, cultural overrides that will, so yeah, hyperrealism, like for now it's in vogue again. But probably because it's something that you can post on Reddit and people don't know about it. And then you go, like I saw one the other day, like I've spent 5 months on this drawing. And everybody's like, you're fucking amazing. Like, not really.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. And so that would be a cultural override. But he says, because his example is really interesting. He found there was a study, I forget what decade it was, but was it like they're studying red-billed pelicans or something? Red-striped pelicans? It's a pelican where they have a stripe on their beak.
I have heard of that.
And they didn't know what it was for, so they're trying to determine, like, well, it evolved that way, so it has to have a purpose. And then somebody noticed that in a nest, the chicks were pecking on the mother's red dot, and that was to signify that they're hungry.
Oh.
And so they did a test. What they did is they removed the mother, and then they put in popsicle sticks painted yellow, and they did different sizes of red stripes. And the bigger the red stripe, the more like kind of frenzied the chicks would get into thinking they were hungry.
Right.
So they tapped more furiously on it. So he took that premise and ran with it into art, saying that there are to humans certain shapes, colors, and this and that will trigger things in our brain. Yeah. So that's where he started with the abstract, that there is something to abstract art. But then looking at like, when you look at like Venus of Willendorf, like where they start exaggerating features, that in turn also triggers something.
Right.
So we're kind of conditioned through, millions of years of evolution to respond to certain forms.
Right.
So that's just like your opinion, man.
I can see Sergio now when he's got a good one. It's like his eyes start shifting. He's like waiting. Yeah, he's waiting.
The Sergio. She's trying to hand all of us beers.
Oh my goodness.
Sergio's like, thank you for the beer.
Shout out to Irene. Thank you.
But I was gonna say, sorry, that I listened to something recently. I don't know what it was. I think
Taylor
it was
Swift.
Right after that. It was like a Radio Lab or like a 99% Invisible or one of those podcasts. But they were talking about beauty in evolution and how there's some unexplained things, and they're I don't know. kind of reasoning for why it exists is just based on the fact that for some reason, some animals like pleasing aesthetics, like it almost for no evolutionary reason other than that. And I was like, that's so interesting to think about, that you might evolve some feature within yourself based on that it's aesthetically pleasing and I like it. And I was like,
I don't know if I believe that.
There was some pushback by other people where they're like, well, they can't prove that. And it was just an interesting conversation. And I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have brought it up. I just thought,
No. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you bring it up?
Just because I didn't think about it that hard. I was just like, it kind of reminds me of this, what you were saying.
Yeah.
And just like I don't even know if you could prove that necessarily.
I don't think you could.
But
that's the problem with evolutionary psychology.
Mm-hmm.
You can't prove.
Yeah, it's
99% of it's all theory. Or hypothesis.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Just a religion, kind of in a weird way, but more science pushed to
science-based religion.
More science.
Scientology.
Hello, shout out to Tom. But yeah, that whole, I don't know, this coming back to just like, see, here's the issue I have with what you were saying about that guy's theory and how abstract ties into it.
Mm-hmm.
Was, maybe there is some truth to it, but I think abstract is not that old of a medium that to call it timeless is still kind of premature. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I didn't mean that the art, like shapes, there'd be timeless like shapes.
I see.
And things like that. Like, like non-objective abstracts are relatively new in the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what more so I kind of corrected myself in that he's initially talking about exaggerated art. So like a caricature would fall into that, right? As opposed to like if you took a caricature in hyperrealism, he says the caricature has more value as art,
right?
Greater effect.
Or like a Crumb, the cartoon is Crumb.
Any cartoon falls into that.
Yeah. Like
comic books, like any form of exaggeration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember have you seen that Crumb documentary?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And there's that moment where him and his son are drawing the same figure.
Yeah.
His son is doing like a photorealist kind of version and he's doing this other version. He's like, see, your problem is you never learned how to do the tricks of like exaggerating or cheating or something like that.
Yeah.
And the son was just like, so like, I'm doing it the right way or whatever.
Yeah. Didn't he tell me it's too much black or something like that? Because it's like a really dark ball or ballpoint drawing or something.
But yeah, that always stuck with me. Recently I've been doing a ton of just like lunchtime doodles and with the idea of just don't try to do that many measurements. Just try to go in and like get the drawing in and see where the exaggerations kind of naturally go for myself and see what I like and try to maybe pursue those just because there is that like, I don't know.
Do you start off with trying to get them accurate though?
Somewhat. I'm just not trying that hard. I just kind of like set in like, I think this is here. Like I don't like do any measurements. I just look at it and go like roughly there. She's got
guesstimations.
Yeah.
But you're not setting out to exaggerate from the beginning, usually?
No. I'm just kind of like letting it happen and seeing kind of where I just happen to do it regularly, like what things I've forced myself to draw a little exaggerated. But I don't know. It's been fun kind of seeing where that goes for myself.
Yeah. What do you usually exaggerate?
If it's like a figure, hips and legs seem to always be just longer than usual. Or wider, and I seem to make girls a little chubbier than they are in photos. Which, and if it's a face, I'll do like, bigger eyes. But I think that's just like natural. I don't know. At least for me, it's so easy just to make the eyes slightly bigger than smaller,
like an Instagram filter.
Yeah, you don't see this make your eyes smaller filter ever.
No, that would be racist. No.
That's true. To small-eyed people.
Yep.
So,
little-eyed people.
Sorry about that. So how was creating a body of work in one country and then shipping it to the next. How'd that
It's
go?
ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't ship it. I thought I was going to get clever and take it on the plane because I painted them all on panels. Like I did the front, not front. Why can't I think? Stretcher bars. Here. And so yeah, my brilliant plan was I would just take it on the plane with me, and they wouldn't say anything. And then if they did, I'd like when I got there, when I get to the airport and I was going up, I tried to play like they were really light and stuff. So I'm just like carrying this little bag portfolio, and then she's like, "Oh, you got to put it on the scale." I was like, "Oh no, they always let me take it on."
Yeah,
that didn't work. And so I put it on the scale, and it was something like 40 pounds over or something. Yeah, so I freaked. I thought I was going to have to put it in just regular cargo. So here's a life pro tip if you ever need to bring anything, is make sure they put it in the what is it called? The oversized baggage.
Oversized baggage.
Yeah, because oversized baggage is for also like delicate packages. So it only goes, it's like person to person. They don't put it on any conveyor belts or anything.
Oh.
So when I landed in SFO, there was actually a guy who brought them out to me. Yeah, I didn't go through the carousel, and
that's awesome.
All that shit. Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice. So now you don't even have to fake it.
No, and it would have probably cost like from France. That would have been easy, like $800 in shipping or something like that.
Barutoto.
Yeah. No bueno.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Huh.
The more you know.
Oh, I see. I was like, how did that apply?
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. I was confused. I'm like, was that sad?
I was a little late.
Get on your game, man.
Yeah. Well, one of the cool things with your newest show was it seemed like you have like kind of this body of work you've been working on for a while of these portraits kind of with, abstracted parts or almost like half finished in a way. And then you also were showing this different kind of new thing you're doing with like collage and on like, I don't know if it's moleskin. I don't know what kind of paper that is.
Oh, the sketchbook ones?
Yeah.
They were, just accordion sketchbooks. They weren't moleskin ones.
Okay.
But yeah, just regular.
Yeah.
Accordion.
And also on just like wood, like it looked like you just found these like almost like
I did. Yeah, they're fruit crates.
Yeah. Yeah. They look like something that is shipping something like that, or like milk.
They're literally fruit crates. Yeah.
Okay.
They're all over Paris.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And what came about like kind of going that direct or trying out this, what seems to be like a new thing for you?
Yeah. Does that relate at all to you trying to figure out why like painting is important?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I think just wanting to experiment.
Yeah,
a little bit, but more so it was like two things. Like I'd been wanting to somehow like incorporate photos into the work, and I tried it like the last show, and it didn't really work out that well. And then a lot of it was just walking around Paris. Like it's crazy the amount of, and it's not even trash. There's just discarded objects everywhere. Like more so than in San Francisco. You can see like, full on like dining sets. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you go anywhere near trash day and walk around Paris and there's shit all over the streets. And so I spent like a lot of time just walking around taking pictures and just started finding stuff. And then for some reason I started carrying them back. So I'd always come back to the studio with a load full of trash and just all these found objects and just started piecing them together.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. I mean, in a way, it's like questioning the painting thing, but I think also just trying like to find a new vocabulary. Because I agree with like what you were saying earlier. Like any base level art it's communicative. It's trying to create a dialogue. So to me, it was like a new language to explore. With found objects.
Is that also why you kind of picked up photography?
Not really. I just always kind of did that. I actually did photography before painting. Eons ago. And
eons. That's like 5
millennia.
Oh, yeah. Oh, how old are you?
6 millennia.
Are you the Highlander?
I am. There can be only one.
Yeah,
I just always take pictures but never did anything with it.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that about you. I thought that was like some newfound love. You've always done it? You've never, I don't know why I've never seen it before, but it seemed like a new thing.
Just never did anything with it. But I mean, never pursued it seriously. Like I just, it was always a side thing. Like I started, like even working in dark rooms and printing photos at one point. And it's always just been like a weird side hobby type of thing.
Would you ever want to just show it as is, like the photography as its own thing?
Yeah, I definitely do.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's something I wanted. I think I put that as one of my goals for 2019.
Okay.
Let's try and get a photography show.
Huh. That's cool. Are you trying to do that here or in
probably Paris? I think would be maybe easier.
Do you think they'd be more receptive to it over there?
I think so. Yeah, they seem. It's so crazy how the entire culture is into art there. I mean, any art exhibit is always crowded. People. We went to, although it's a bigger artist, but before we came over here, we went to the Basquiat exhibit at the Louis Vuitton Foundation, and it's booked like weeks in advance.
Really?
And, yeah, and there were they had what was the other one? We saw a Muka exhibit that was insane. It was so awesome. Good and packed. Every day it's packed.
Great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Great, but it sucks. It's almost like you wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of difficult to get around, and you got to imagine like maybe half are tourists, so that's kind of why. But even just the average Parisian, man, you bring up an exhibit and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go this weekend, and it's not an indoorsy place. Everybody likes to go out, so I think I would have a better opportunity or a better chance, there.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were talking to Delphine a bit, or actually I wasn't. MJ was talking to Delphine. She kind of relayed this thing to me that I thought was super interesting, where she said over there in, I don't know if it's Paris or France as a whole, but that the idea of being a full-time artist isn't as obsessed about as in America. And I thought that was super interesting to hear, just because there is like this weird status to it in America. And probably is because we're such a work culture here that as an artist, you want to just get out of that culture and you want to kind of paint. But it was a cool kind of concept to think about as far as why we value or kind of regard an artist that is full-time as a step above other artists. It was interesting to hear. Yeah,
it's true. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, there's probably a multitude of reasons for it, but it's weird because I remember before going there, I even kind of had, admittedly that in my head, and then just being full-time, like, oh, I have to maintain that. I really have to maintain that at all costs. And after being there for a year, I'm just realizing like, this is completely ridiculous.
Right.
Because it says nothing about your art. We have this weird vanity metric. And I think a good chunk of it right now, too, is social media. Because I've been kind of detoxed off of that from there. And so, yeah, all these things.
Cayenne and lemon juice or something? Or?
Yeah, mostly. And then intermittent fasting.
Good move.
Yeah, thanks. It's really helped my urinary tract. I don't think I've talked to one artist there that was concerned with that. No, maybe one. Yeah, there was one. Just one.
Call him out.
You know who you are.
I'm not going to say your name.
John.
Jeff. But I think it's also how their culture, you're right in a way, I think, too, that we're such a work-obsessed culture that art and work get meshed, which is a good thing for us and a bad thing.
Right.
Because some of the guys, like, we're in a shared studio, and they kind of poke fun at me saying, you work like an American, because I'd be working all the time.
Right.
And they like to, they take more vacations than any person I've ever seen, any culture. They're always on vacation in France.
They like take work. They take a work. They're like, I should probably go to work. So.
Yeah. No, they even have a term. I forget what the word is. I wish I could remember it. But like, it literally comes to like bridging the gap or something. And they'll do a thing like if there's they'll work at their days. If there's a 3-day weekend, then they'll try and work an extra 2 days ahead of that so that you're off by Wednesday and you get a 5-day weekend. And it's just normal. Like everybody does that, which is great. I mean, the quality of life. I mean, everybody is.
Yeah, that seems great.
They're happier. Yeah. But I think it just in their history of art, it's just not seen like that, like culturally, like we do here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's everything gets so like, I mean, fuck, we have shows about tattooing. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like we make everything, we monetize it and make it into a grand thing, and competitive, and you know, so stupid.
Right.
So,
but does you having kind of that American work ethic or whatever you want to call it, does that end up kind of benefiting you in an environment like that? As far as like, you know, because it's like, at least for me growing up, it's like you work harder, you get ahead of the next man. It is that competitive mentality. And in an environment where it's so not that, does like the work ethic kind of...
I think it could in other things. I don't think so maybe in art, because there's still the idea of taste, and, you know, it's such a subjective thing.
Right.
But I've talked to, like, I've met other expatriates there, and they definitely use it to their advantage in business, you know, for some other thing. Because they'll be like, you know, if one company wants to do one thing, they're like, dude, we're American. We'll get this shit done, you know, done this weekend. And they're like, let's do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
USA. That's where you kick in with that, Sergio.
USA! USA! USA!
Thank you.
Caught me in mid beer drink.
It's all about timing. I saw you were doing a mural out there recently.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to pursue more?
Yeah, I definitely am for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do more.
How'd that go?
How'd it go, or how did
the mural like experience?
Oh, it was awesome.
Go out there.
Yeah, it was cool. That was another one. It was funny, like that. I heard from just people I didn't even know were because it was in this area in the 12th arrondissement. It's kind of like it's a quieter neighborhood, but you see the corner I was on. There's a lot of people going to work in the mornings, and so I was there for a few days, but I'd work really late. And so even then, I'd have people I'd see after like a couple of days, and like, "Oh my God, you work like an American." Is that? I don't know. I guess you're supposed to be done by noon or something. Go on vacation. But yeah, it was cool. It's definitely something I want to do more. I think it's just getting out of the studio.
Yeah,
just to
make
things more interesting.
Yeah, me and MJ, we've been and
you guys were doing something.
Yeah, we did like this little mural, and we're kind of pursuing muraling because the kind of how it felt was, it just felt good in a weird way. Like we talked to Hellish yesterday about it too, but there's that weird thing where you are interacting with people and you're communicating with them, and the attachment that they have to the artwork, you know, because it's their community and all these things. And it, in a weird way, it does kind of feel like it fulfills that, I don't know, something that painting in your studio just can't, because in the whole like scheme of art being, you know, this way of communicating to people, even in galleries, it doesn't feel like it kind of fulfills that like thing that murals seem to do, where
not at all.
Where to me it's like, oh, that's kind of where we've somehow made it something, you know, different than it probably was in the past, for probably monetary reasons, and, you know, the business of art. It seemed to make more sense to put it on a panel or something, and so you can package and sell it to people or whatever. Where murals are so different in that way, where it's the intent is different and the mindset is different, and all these great things where you're like, these are for these people around here, and they're, you know, depending on how long it lasts, they're gonna see it all the time. And I have murals in my head from when I was a kid that I would see daily, you know, and they just kind of are that thing. They were that like little staple. And I don't know how much it convinced me to do art, but it just is something that is attached to a community, that's attached to an environment that when I think about that community and that environment, I think of that mural, you know, and that.
Yeah.
Does that change your feeling about working in front of people when it's in that setting?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you don't like to work in front of people?
Yeah, I hate like live painting things. It's not my thing. I hate drawing and someone looks over your shoulder.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know. I don't know why it changes in that way. But I don't really like if someone walks up. I don't like continue painting. I'll stop and talk to them.
Yeah.
And then get back to work after they left or something. I'm assuming it would be a lot tougher if you're on a super busy road or street.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to talk to you. Then maybe having blinders on and headphones on is the key. But I have no idea. I don't have all the answers. Tell me the answer, John.
I don't have them either.
Damn it.
But there is something interesting though that how people I think they also respond, like you hit on like the community aspect, but also when it's over a period of time and you have those people like maybe that's like their commute or that's where they go for a walk,
right?
And they see the process. There's like a sense of ownership to it for them too, since they get to see it come in,
right?
And it's a different sense of gratification than like just putting it in the walls of a gallery.
For sure. Yeah. You can even play that scenario in your head where you can imagine someone saying, "Oh, I watched that person paint that," and telling whoever that. There was this, I remember that artist Swoon. Are you familiar? I remember seeing a documentary she was in where they were doing a construction, they had a construction zone and they had like the little peek holes where you can look in and see kind of what's going on. And she would take a room and she would like make this weird scene in the room and she would photograph it. And then she would put like those like transparent, she would like print it on the like transparent sheet. And she would put it inside the hole. So if you looked into it, you wouldn't see the construction site. You would see like this different world.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool.
And she went back to go check on them. And this lady was like, "Oh, you know about our secret?" And then she was like, "What?" And then she told them that like the community all kind of knew about that little like peek hole and that they would tell everyone and everyone would go and check it out. And that it was like this cool thing where like community was like built based off the art.
Oh,
I was
off
like,
of
wow,
that. Nice.
That's really cool. Like to think of how it could bring people together based off of public art.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just interesting to think of how public art can play a totally different role than your work in a gallery or whatever.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. And at least for me, it seems much more meaningful. But I don't know. What do I know, Sergio?
What does he know, Sergio? Don't you have a button for that?
Yeah. Tell them. Hit it. God damn it.
Oh.
You really didn't give me much to work with there.
Got to get more, Josh.
Sorry about that.
Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
What was that one ever for? I guess that
for myself.
Oh, it's a self-deprecating.
But yeah. I don't know. It was funny talking to Delphine on the podcast, and it seemed like we very much were similar. And like, for instance, my wife, we have this funny story where we're at a party and she's telling everyone that she wants to be a witch. And she's like, and Josh doesn't let me. And they're all like, well, blah, blah. And then I come in mid conversation and I'm like, what's going on, guys? And they're like, MJ's telling us about being a witch. They're like, you don't understand. It's kind of like this idea of like being one with nature and all these things. And I'm like, oh no, you don't understand. I'm like, MJ, do you have a magic wand? And she's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, do you fly around on a broomstick? And she's like, uh-huh. Like, do you make potions? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, she's not talking about the same witch you guys are talking about. Like, she wants to be Harry Potter. Like, she thinks that she's striving for that. You guys are like, but it was a fun conversation because I am not that polite about my opinions about her, being a witch. And I got the same feeling from Delphine. I was like,
yeah, we actually did when we were listening to that in the car. And it was something you said is I think it's something similar that I say to her, and she kind of looked at me. I heard. I said, "Yeah, I think I like Josh. We kind of think alike." Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah, it happens. But I feel how you feel. I understand the shout out to Delphine. She's awesome. But yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. Just to take a shot at my wife.
Notice how quiet I am. I'm playing it smart.
Okay, taking notes. Take
notes, Josh.
But yeah, we'll change the subject now. You know those fold out or the accordion books you did? Things. There were these like awesome portraits you were doing that I was super into, which were just like almost like they kind of had a weird feeling of a superhero in a weird way.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if you even wanted that, but to me that's how it felt, and it was cool because it's just like this really intense like red or blue or whatever, and then just like one highlight where the nose goes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like this very simplified version of what you've been doing for a while, of like these faces that are incomplete, but you found this different way of doing it. And I was like, good, goddamn, that is good.
Thanks, man.
And I guess that's all I had to say. It was just a compliment.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
How did that come about? Was that just messing around or something? Or
with those, it was, yeah. It was. I kind of thought of it as like art barfing, where you just kind of, just let anything.
Did they teach you guys that in school?
I think so.
Art barfing.
Yeah, art barfing. Huh. Well, it's just, I don't know if you guys get this, but I feel like at a certain point, you're almost confined in what you do because, you've been branded, or whatever that term is. And then it was weird because those are things you usually do in sketchbook. Like that's really your only free space. Mm-hmm. So that's what those started as. It's like everything started to feel so repetitious. And then some of the artists that were hanging out, I remember one guy in the studio, the French are very direct, in case you didn't know. And he was looking at some of my work and he's like, yeah, it's like you're going through it's like a factory. And I was like, is that good or bad? Like, what do you mean, man? And he's like, well, I don't know. It's just, you are a factory. Okay. I'm going to think about that for a little bit. But I understood his point. I mean, it's easy to get in those ruts. So those just started as something where I can just like any normal sketchbook. Mm-hmm. But then it just kind of evolved with the format, and they almost became like, they're like diaries almost in a way. Mm-hmm. So it was just a place where I could do anything I wanted and not have to worry.
That's awesome.
About, whatever.
Yeah. Do you think it has to be in a sketchbook for you to have that like ability to kind of not take it precious and not care what people think?
It has to be anything other than just a painting. And I think that's why I started doing the boxes as well. Like those were all very like cathartic. So I think I'm just so used to like, if there's like a panel or something, it's automatically very precious.
Right.
And that can be good and that can be kind of stifling, at the same time. So yeah, it was just another medium to kind of work out all these other things. Because I feel like too, it's like even more and more the way things are going, you have to be, or you don't have to be anything, but you're more rewarded the more you stay the same with your artwork. I think that's just the nature of, the internet and all that stuff now, because you have to stand out, and the way to stand out is do the same fucking thing over and over and over.
Right.
So yeah, I just got really frustrated with that.
Yeah. I know Sergio probably feels very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been changing things up quite a bit.
Yeah.
I like those new pieces.
Yeah.
I told you.
It's kept my follower count the same, but I'm having fun.
Those are just vanity metrics, my friend.
I'll buy you some.
Followers on me tonight.
Followers all around. But yeah, that's because one of the things I found was I've been doing these lunch doodles at my job, just trying to have as much fun as I can. Mm-hmm. And after I finished my last sketchbook at my job, I was like, I think I want to switch to loose paper to maybe sell some, because people are always asking, and I'm always kind of giving them like, I don't sell my sketchbooks, so no. And so I was thinking maybe I'll do some for a while, then go back to a sketchbook. but the second I switched from a sketchbook to loose paper, it was like this learning curve of like, I have to tell myself that I can't take this serious. Like I have to remember that this,
because you're automatically, because it's monetized already.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, okay, this is with the intention of selling.
Yeah. So what I started doing was just doing doodles, like actual, like just like quick, like really shitty, just like, they're not like a scribble, but just like drawings that maybe no reference or just whatever, or just little tags or whatever, just to kind of, and then throw that paper away like a bunch, just to say like, this paper is garbage.
Yeah.
Remember that, and just kind of get myself out of the mindset. And it's still like a work in progress, but I thought it was interesting how literally just taking the cover off the books and the bindings was even enough to kind of change my mindset, even just ever so slightly. It was still kind of tough.
But
yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a mindset we all kind of struggle with.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that, but maybe I should get punched in the head more. Just loosen up a couple of those unwanted.
Couple more beers.
Couple more beers.
Have at it.
I've never painted drunk, or have tried, but
it's never good.
It's never good. Never fun.
There's not many things that are good to do when you're drunk.
No, except for laugh and shoot the shit,
talk shit,
drink more.
Yeah.
yeah. That's the only thing that's good to do when you're drunk. Yeah, you know, that close by our flat is the Picasso Museum, and I've gone there a couple of times, and he's one that fascinates me because throughout his entire career, like the way the museum's set up, there's I don't know how many floors, 5 floors, and so it starts, you know, it's chronological. The first floor is the early work, and then you go through and see his stuff through childhood, and he never lost that, and regardless of what you think of his work, it's still that essence. Like through his entire career, the work stayed the same. There was never got this feeling of preciousness or like the I mean, I think the only thing you can take critique of him is maybe like when he got really, really huge, he was putting out too much stuff. But yeah, there's none of that preciousness you see in it. I think, and you say, I mean, musicians, I think particularly struggle with that. But you say a lot of artists, the bigger they get, the more precious things get.
Yeah, you know? Preciousness is a weird thing because I do think of art as like a precious thing for me, as far as like I respect it a lot, and there's like this weird thing, at least for me, where it's almost like I have to be able to turn on and off that kind of like mentality, because I do really respect craftsmanship, and I think that comes from treating art precious and respecting it enough to learn the craft. And then there is a part where you have to, you know, you're not trying to become photorealist, so at least I'm not. So there is that part where you have to be able to kind of turn off like I need to make this perfect and you know, figure some things out.
Yeah, and even though I'm talking also like there is that. I mean, precious, I guess, encompasses a few things, but even just like what you were saying about trying to go to the loose paper, like that's a form of pressure. It's like all of a sudden when there's like money involved, it's like oh shit, like okay, I got to be very. This has to be a good one.
Right.
I can't fuck around. I
Yeah,
can't try
that's a
anything
weird
new.
catch-22 of like, how do I convince people this is precious while not taking it precious myself?
Yeah. Or something like, have you ever like had somebody comment, or you felt like your work was a little stiff? Like if
Sure,
you know, like at least that's like getting overly precious for some reason. You're like
right. And then that's when I say, you're stiff, man.
Fuck you, man.
Because, you know, don't critique me. And I don't know why my voice changes to like a surfer when you do the critique. When I yell back at him, but it's,
hey man. Sound like the dude.
Yeah. You're out of your element, man.
I could hit the button again, but I won't.
We appreciate that.
How many Lebowski quotes do you got on there?
So far, just that one.
Oh, just that one.
I can.
That's
my homework.
You have to get like the one about like we're nihilist or whatever. You know?
Oh, yeah.
There's so many quotable.
Yeah, that would be perfect for artists.
Yeah.
They're so like oh, why do we even do anything? Nothing's worth anything.
Yeah, the German nihilist.
Yeah.
Nothing is worth nothing.
But yeah, that's get on that, Sergio. Or
I'll just clip you guys quoting it.
Even better. Less copyright infringement.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah, do we ever have to worry about that? I guess only if we get big enough, right?
Yeah.
If there's enough money involved, probably.
We're never going to make money off this
Yeah,
thing.
or if you guys
That's our
film
goal.
it, like if you put it on YouTube, then you definitely have to worry.
But can't you, you can decide not to monetize your videos on YouTube.
Yeah, they'll demonetize you automatically.
But we could choose to not.
Yeah.
Because we don't like money. Money.
That's the whole point of this talk,
Damn.
right?
Yeah, I mean, that is that whole mindset of trying to think about art without the money involved.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier as far as we were talking about kind of why we do this is, but I could see that applying to a lot of just things in general with art and having a healthy kind of relationship with your art. And that sounded lame. Relationship with the art. But
Sure, Josh.
like, are you in? Do you like me or not? I'm just talking to paintings now.
Where are we going with this?
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, and I don't know. I'm trying to take it to the next level. But yeah, that mindset of kind of forcing yourself to remove money out of the equation, and I mean, there is that business aspect that at some point you have to listen to, but maybe during the creative process, trying to eliminate that as much as possible is probably a good move in general.
Yeah, depending on what your goal is.
Yeah.
Some people succeed by doing the opposite. If that's their
That's
only
very
intent.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some people who decide to not play that game at all and just say, I'm not going to paint for money at all.
Yeah. So I think it's important just knowing your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to not think of money ever, but when I guess in front
I know
of
what you mean, like divorcing it during that part of the
Yeah.
process.
Right. Yeah.
And saying, just so you don't, I don't know. It just seems like white noise, I guess, if you're allowing that to be a thought in your head, which obviously by, the exercise I've been doing, which it's like, I don't think I think of it, right? Like I don't think, I think of money and how this will sell.
Mm-hmm.
But then when trying to jump from sketchbook to loose paper, it's like, obviously I do. I think I don't. But that exercise has shown me that I do.
Yeah, because people ask if they can buy them,
Right.
and you accommodate it.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of money.
Yeah. Very true. And please send it to me if you have it.
Care of. Waiting to dry.
Yeah. I don't know. At the same time, we're artists, so obviously we don't care about money that much because, God.
Speak for yourself.
That's
kidding.
look how I was wondering how you rolled in that when you rolled up in the Bentley. I was like, okay, you actually drove.
That's my mumble rap career.
Yeah.
About that.
Okay, yeah, you drove up in a private jet, and you parked it on the side.
It's funny that I did just the complete opposite. I got here on foot without a cell phone.
A single foot.
I'm more
by
like
the
a
way.
monk than I am like a. I followed the wind.
Yeah, the rain brought you here. Have you ever heard the whisper? I don't know. I was trying to sing the Pocahontas song, but I couldn't remember.
The wolf cry through the whatever.
I've never seen Pocahontas.
I have. Yeah, I wasn't sure, but yeah, I've seen it. I've more seen, I think it was like Aladdin or Lion King. They had the song, that song on as a trailer in that movie.
Okay.
So I know the song based off of it.
No.
I'm not trying to lose my street cred is why I'm bringing this up. I got to protect my neck. But God damn it. So how do you enjoy when I talk myself into a corner? And then
What?
I don't know. That's how I feel all the time when I'm like, all right, where do I go from here?
That's when Sergio takes the reins.
Yeah.
Come on, Sergio.
the longest beer chug ever.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Shotgun in a beer over there.
It was an empty can. He was just like,
yeah. Waiting for you.
Yeah. I never, yeah.
I'm the button guy.
But yeah, the whole, I don't know. Do you think, so the idea of why I create art, like I'm going back to this.
Okay.
And there is, I don't know. I feel like for me, you are a successful artist.
Thanks. You don't know me very well.
That doesn't mean you're a billionaire. I just mean, like, I think, I'm not saying you're a billionaire or a thousandaire. But
or 100
or an heir. But there's this weird thing I've noticed with, like, the more successful of an artist you are, and kind of the weird doubt that seems to creep in as to why this, you see it with, like, musicians all the time, you know, successful musicians, all of a sudden why they're doing this is kind of, you know, bands break apart and things end based off of this. And there is this weird, longing for the pursuit of success, right? Like, the moment you kind of get success, you're left with, like, well, what do I do? I mean, I'm not saying
when that was kind of like your, even if you didn't know it at the time, that was your motivator.
Yeah, like,
and once you achieve
the
that,
pursuit
like,
of
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
and human nature in general is
like
like, right, we're all out for the hunt.
Yeah, and once you got that deer and you're done, you're like, oh, shit, now what?
Yeah,
I have nothing in my life.
Exactly, and
I'm
you're
gonna
not
create
hungry
religion
anymore.
now.
Exactly. And then your belly gets empty again, and you're like, I need to go hunt again.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, you know, if that doubt is based off of just kind of success. Of, like, why am I doing this? Because, I don't know, maybe the why is based off of the lack of a hunt. Maybe
I think that happens.
Yeah.
Definitely. But not for me, because it's happened at various stages. Like, it would even just starting out.
Right.
That would happen, and I would go through these periods of thinking it's just not a waste of time, but there's more important things in the world. And but I think a lot of it, like, when I go through it now, it's more of a wanting to communicate with somebody. Well, it's two things. I don't know if you guys get this, where you're like, well, you probably, because it's the same with, like, the podcast. Like, you just find that, I think at a certain point, creativity, you realize it's like this little, oh man, it's going to sound so retarded. No, I can't say that word anymore. Sorry. Edit that out.
So retardant.
Yes, that's what I meant. That maybe you're not just a painter. There's other things you want to do. You realize it's that you want to communicate with people. So, you know, oh man, maybe I want to try sculpture. Maybe I want to try this. There's just other avenues I want to explore to communicate with people. So it's kind of like, I think for me, it goes into that. I'm like, man, why am I stuck pushing dirt around on a canvas when I could maybe try and make a film or something?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the way to really, because when you see people interact with paintings, like, especially now, it's like most of the interaction happens online. You know, people don't really get the full value of it. And I noticed this when I went to the last exhibit, was the Basquiat exhibition. I think I started counting how long people were in front of the paintings, and it averaged at about 6 to 7 seconds, because it was just get in front, take a photo, move to the next, get in front, take a selfie, go to the next.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like, are you really communicating? So then I look and, you know, I'm looking at what actually stops people now. And it's usually, you know, film or something like that, something that has more going on to it. So that makes me question, like, why am I so stuck on this painting? Is it just because I've been doing this so long, or is this really my medium to communicate?
That would be an interesting scientific study, to just literally go to different art exhibits based off of the style and see what kind of draws the eye for longer. You know, it's that, like,
Well,
because maybe Basquiat is a 7 second look. No offense to Basquiat.
Yeah.
But maybe you go to like a Rembrandt and it's like a 12-second, or like a minute.
It's funny you said, because I was just about to say they actually have done a study on what it takes for people to take in art, and they did this across the board with different types of art, and 20 minutes is the average.
Wait, 20 minutes is the average?
In front of a painting to really take it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And
What'd they base that on?
Man, I forgot the study. It came out last year. It was like a big thing on BBC News.
Okay.
And they were, I guess, I don't know if they were actually doing MRI scans. I forget what that measure was, but they had people looking at different types of paintings, and I guess they were monitoring like the effects and when people really started taking in. Maybe it was also in like, things like pulse, whatever. I don't know, when they've relaxed and finally gotten into it.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think that's true. The moments I've had with paintings that were, quote unquote transcendent or whatever was over like 30 minutes when I managed to, that was before cell phones, and I just sit.
That's awesome.
Look, but I see what you're saying. I think there's that too. It's like, what is the painting of? Is it a very complex thing? But, I went to the Louvre and I saw the same thing. People were there, seconds looking at. I went to a Rembrandt room. People like, snap, go to the next one.
Right. I just think it would be interesting to see, even on a micro level, like of time, of like, how is there a difference based on time? I'm not saying like Rembrandt is going to get more time than Basquiat. Right. I'm not trying to like make that statement.
Whatever, dude. Fighting words.
But he is. But all I'm saying is he.
I'm not saying, but if I was.
But it would be cool to kind of gauge that and see if is there a like based off of the art. I mean, I don't know what the reasoning, just to prove that Rembrandt is hella dope and stuff.
He was pretty dope. I saw some amazing paintings that he did.
Good to know. For all our listeners out there, in case you were wondering, you heard it here first. But I don't know. I mean, it's not. It doesn't actually do anything other than pat some artists on the back, I guess.
For what?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe as far as if you were able to prove based off of a certain art that it kind of forces the viewer to stay there longer.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. If it justifies that type of art more than another.
We talked to Blake Newbert, I think a week ago now. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we mentioned his work, being that it's the interesting thing with his stuff is that his like scrape away paintings is that he kind of forces you by, doing like a young Michael Jackson and old Michael Jackson, that you do end up kind of forced to think about the man in between and those like stages. And that was an interesting kind of thing he's doing, where he's forcing you, even if you're not looking at the painting, to think about something for longer in such a quick way of doing it as well. He's so in such a short time forcing you to think about a man's life.
Yeah, I almost think of his Instagram account as almost like conceptual art.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't think that's any testament to painting, because really what he's doing are film.
Yeah, exactly.
Paintings.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think that's why it has the effect it does, because you're
exactly.
change.
Yeah. So I guess we all quit.
Thanks, Blake. Done.
Gosh, what are we doing here? So welcome to our film
darkest episode ever.
Walmart and buy art supplies.
Welcome to our film podcast. Dude, have you seen
Waiting to shoot?
Waiting to shoot.
Have you seen that documentary Struggle that came out on Netflix?
Oh yeah.
What do you think about
I loved it.
Sergio just watched it.
I just watched it last week.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I've been getting on him.
It took him like 2 months.
I've been wanting to talk about it.
Yeah,
I just got Netflix.
What's funny is I when did I find out about Zukalski? It was eons ago, and it was the first sculpture book I ever bought, and it was because I saw there was a small article in Juxtapose.
Do you still have that book?
I do.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Absolutely. And Juxtapose, I think it was, had a small thing on them, and it was the only one they had was the Struggle one with them, and there was never anything else. You can find books here and there. So I was super excited to see a documentary.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah.
That
was such a nut.
Yeah, such a nut. In the best kind of way.
How much did you know about him, like his life?
I knew everything
that.
in there except the nationalist shit, like the,
okay.
the Nazi ties. That I was like, ooh, shit, this got dark.
That was super dark.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like almost my favorite part, just because it showed a life that was so complicated.
Yeah.
And so up and down, and you can get lost in a certain mentality and change, based off of time. I don't know. There was something great about the darkest parts of his life that really kind of, I don't know, made it great for me.
No, I agree. I thought right now, it's a shame it's not that documentary. I mean, it's not going to appeal to a big audience, but it's a shame it's not bigger than it is, because I thought now was the most timely part for its release, when anybody gets labeled a Nazi for the smallest fucking thing.
Right.
And you can see now, like, because, like you hear this like with Sam Harris a lot. They're talking about like the idea, like, okay, we're having these weird standards, we have these lynch mobs. We need a path of redemption because people are so short-sighted. And here you saw it completely unfold, and you could see it was all based on the fragility of his ego. Like that guy was so insanely egotistical.
I know,
like,
it's so fun.
I know everything. I am the greatest authority on anything drawing or something. Like, Jesus Christ. And then you find out he's like 5'2", and you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. It's a little man complex. But to see that, I thought it was great too, and I didn't know that about him. And I wondered too at that time too, because any of the books I had never talked about it. So was that something that everybody always left out?
Right.
And then, and you see, there was sort of a path of redemption.
Right. Yeah.
But nowadays, Jesus, man, that guy would be hashtag MAGA and career dead, and it's crazy.
It's dark out there. There's not much that. Yeah, I mean, I love what Sam Harris is doing with that whole that topic is so important right now, as far as just the analogy is always that they always bring up is the whole, like, you can kill someone and get out of jail and live a somewhat normal life. You can do, I don't know how many years, but you can come out of there and still society will forgive you. But there's this weird thing where someone makes a mistake socially, and all of a sudden it's no forgiveness for this person ever.
Yeah. The Twitter lynch mob.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's weird that murder is not a bigger social, I guess, what do you call it, crime in that way?
Yeah. But a tweet from 10 years ago will ruin your career.
For sure. It is what it is. I don't know if you even want to get into this, but you told me a crazy story right before you came from France about during the Yellow Jacket.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. That was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went out to photograph the protests. And so if anyone doesn't know, I think they're still going on. I saw them in the news today. Yeah. And so the riots are about a gas tax. So they're increasing. And I mean, what I've learned is the French will riot about anything.
Right.
But when you give them a little bit of a reason, they go even crazier. So these have been going on for months. And so I stupidly wanted to go photograph some. And I got to this area I think it was on the Grand Boulevard. And they'd already gone through because everything was a mess. And so I grabbed some Wi-Fi and saw that, they said it cleared out in that area. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll find some place to hang out. And there's a McDonald's there, free Wi-Fi. So I was like, I'll just sit on my phone for a bit. I don't know why I still feel bad even at a McDonald's. I got to order something. So it's like, I've had American fries, and I'm going to order some fries. Right. So I'm up at the register.
Freedom fries,
absolutely, and Liberty Toast.
USA! USA!
I hope you don't have a build the wall change on it.
No.
So anyway, so I'm ordering, and as I'm talking, I hear it sounds like cattle just stampeding. And then the girl's taking my order. I look up at her and I see her like she's just looking past me, wide-eyed. And then you just hear all this banging. And I turn around, and in the moment, I mean, I don't know how many people, but it just looked like a sea of people with just banging on the windows. And then you see the windows are starting to crack because they're hitting them with poles. And then I see a guy in there do the motion of like pulling a gun out of his vest. And I'm like, okay, that's a gun. I'm from America. I know what this is. And so, I'm like, time to drop. And I hear the pop of the gun, and that's an unmistakable sound.
Right.
And I know people like said there's no guns in France and this and that. I know that sound, man. And as soon as I heard the sound, you see the little crack on the window, and then, and it's like, shit, that's a gun. Hit the floor. So that was my instinct. I hit the floor. People start screaming, and so I start on my belly, kind of crawling towards the back. And I hear a second pop, and then the glass just shatters.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know it was going to happen. I thought people were going to come flooding in.
Right.
And then the guy in the kitchen, the manager's like, doing the motion for all of us to come back there. So we crawl through the kitchen, and then he takes it in the basement and locks the door. So we're locked in the basement of a McDonald's, and it just sounds like World War III up there. And we didn't know, are they in the shop? What are they doing? Are they looting? Have no fucking clue. And so we're in the basement for a bit, like probably 15, 20 minutes. And then I was like, what's going on? What are we going to do? Like, no one's doing it. So I asked the guy, I was like, dude, is there another way out? And he's like, yeah, I think there's a way if you follow this thing. I was like, okay, whatever, man. So a couple of us took that, and eventually it got us out of there. And it was crazy. And then we go around. It took us behind the block. And even then, it was really loud. So we're waiting for a bit to open the door. And then when it died down, I went out. And back on that street, they just destroyed. Like the McDonald's was destroyed. There was a Starbucks next to it that was destroyed. Yeah, it was crazy, man.
That's crazy.
And, but, it's not the protesters. Like, it's their form. Because later that night, I was around, and they call them the Black Bloc. They're like their form of the Antifa.
Right.
And they're just a bunch of shithead kids.
Right.
And, I see them, they carry these little metal batons. And I saw a group of them, like, loot a cell phone store.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, they call over the other guys. And they, the metal gates you pull down?
Yeah.
They lifted them, like, tore the metal gate up, a bunch of them, and then just broke the windows, grabbed a bunch of shit, and then took off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Huh. That's nuts.
Yeah.
When you were in the basement of the McDonald's,
did I get my fries? That's the question. And the answer is no. I still have the receipt.
I was going to say, did you ask the manager?
I did. I actually did.
No, I was going to say, did you ask the manager when he's bringing the McRib back?
No, I asked for my fries. Actually, when I was on my way, I was like, hey, this may be awkward timing, but I didn't get my fries. And he just goes, yeah. So McDonald's sold, and they're not cheap there, man. That was like €3.50 or something. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's like almost $5.
Damn.
So I want my fries when I go back.
Yeah, I mean, you deserve them.
I earned them fries.
Or he's going to start a protest, and as you said, the French are willing to protest for anything. I'm just like, this guy never got his fries.
Start my own protest. This one guy out there. I want my fries.
That would be awesome. Damn, that's crazy, man. That is nuts. I've only been in kind of the middle of one protest once, not like by choice. I was like, oh, this is a protest, and I like walked in it for a bit just to kind of like look. I don't know.
You just walk like in a tornado. You just walk in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was just like, oh,
hey, it's crazy in here.
And I was like, all right, I was like on break for work, and I was like, all right, I got to go back to work. And they were like, the police and the helicopters were coming up and being like, you need to disperse anyone, that whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you don't, you'll get arrested. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to work. So, but that environment is such a weird, like, just in general, there's like a weird energy to it of like,
yeah, it's like a very primal.
Yeah,
like everybody's just working off emotion.
Yeah. It's weird. If my age now, I'm nowhere near any of those things ever. Just because I don't know. I don't want to be that guy that.
You're saying protesting's for kids?
Yeah,
trying to get at.
Yep. And we should talk to them as such. Oh, my little kids protest. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have an opinion,
yeah,
like either way, if you should or shouldn't be, but it is interesting. Like, what you mean? Like when you get into the middle of that frenzy, like, it's almost scary. Like it scares me, the psychology of people. It just, they become animals, and you can feel that tension. Like everybody's like, oh, I can get away with breaking shit. Okay. I'm going to break some shit.
And there is, as when I was young, there is like this difference of, how valuable my life is. You know, like I am more willing to risk things, and there is more, at least for me, there was much more aggression, and you get enough young men in a group, you know, I could definitely see the aggression building, and kind of that like mentality of us against them, you know, monkey like kind of tendencies that.
Yeah. You know, what's really interesting is, and I might be spreading conspiracy theories here.
Uh-oh, Alex Jones alert.
Yeah. Force. Now, so a couple of people I know there were kind of playing around with this idea, and I don't know what their source is, but that the protests are starting to get militarized by Russian influences.
Okay.
And it kind of makes sense, because did you listen to, what was that? The Sam Harris's, that episode of Information War?
Uh-huh.
And it kind of, like, some of the things she was talking about kind of made sense to me regarding there, where they're just taking advantage of these divisive opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
And because some of the protests now, the protesters are becoming very, very militaristic in their approaches. They're very organized. And that's not usually what you see in a frenzy of protest. They're surrounding police officers and this and that. And it made sense in terms of, like, when you look at what would be the outcome, what are they trying to do? And it's attacking the economy, the tourist dollar. Like, I don't know how many people have told me since I've been there, like outside of France, like, oh, well, I was thinking about going to Paris, but I don't think I want to go right now. So they're killing that the tourist dollar. And it's the same thing that's happening in the U.S.
For sure.
Everybody I've met there has been like, either they've been to the U.S. or they were thinking about it. They're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go right now.
Right.
You know? And I asked, like, French, I'm like, what's your idea of like an American right now? And they're like, you know, the red hat and a gun. You know, it's like, damn it. And so I think that does have an effect on the tourist dollar.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's InfoWars.
And that has been our segment.
Yeah.
Lizard people. That'll do. Oh, that'll do.
That was perfect. They're eating the baby's brains.
They're making the frogs gay. Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah, he did. You know what's funny, though? There's actually a kernel of truth in that one.
Really?
Yeah. I forgot what it was. But yeah, some frogs were turning gay.
Huh.
Well, I mean.
Or gender fluid. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the old like Russian conspiracy. I don't know if that's necessarily a conspiracy as far as influence. I don't know.
Not here, it isn't. I
No.
mean, yeah, here it's irrefutable.
Yeah,
but there it's such a new thing. But I saw that, like, going to, I mean, there's a decent Russian population that I've seen in Paris, and I went to one of the first protests. I went to go check it out when Trump was going to come. And there's a lot of young guys who all said, like, it. You know, I know you mean when you say you start feeling it in the air. Like, I went in, I did the same thing. There's this big protest. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in with my camera right in the middle of all these people who are getting worked up.
Right.
Sounds like a good idea. And they start putting masks on, and there's tons of young guys putting little red masks of the sickle and the hammer. Like,
I
don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's like I don't know if humans have spidey senses, but it's the closest thing to that. Is kind of how it feels. You're just, you're just aware of everything, hyper aware, and just ready for potential violence.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, good times in France. I mean, the weird thing with
that, it's amazing.
The weird thing with those kind of things though, is usually like wherever the protest is happening is getting all of the attention. Yeah. But you can probably go like 5 blocks down. Yeah. And it's
so small. Yeah. I mean, one of them that got pretty big. I mean, they had to reroute the metro lines, but yeah, it's like anything. It's like here. I mean, their idea, and a lot of people I talk to, is that it's just a war zone everywhere. Right. Here. Yeah. So yeah, it's the same exact thing. And when I was there, I think in the last year that I knew of, there were 2 small terrorist attacks. One was with a knife, one was with a gun. And they're just it's just not as big as people make it out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories. So far, I feel it's the safest place I've been.
For sure.
Paris. Yeah, and the people are all really great.
But you've been to Santa Rosa.
Yeah. Anyways,
but that is interesting. The whole like like when you live in an area where it's got like global attention or national attention or whatever, there's this weird thing where you realize kind of like what news is in a weird way. You know, they do have to find the story in things and blast it out as if it.
Well, it's worse now. They don't even find the story. It's just taking somebody else's story. Like the Covington thing was one of the greatest examples we had.
Which one's the Covington?
That was the MAGA hat kid and the Native American.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. It's just that type of shit over and over and over again.
Yeah. That was like a metaphor for the world right now.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
And I think it seems like it's I don't know the right way to word it. I feel like Americans are more susceptible because and I could be wrong. I don't know any statistics, but I feel like we travel less than most countries.
I feel the same way.
And that's the major benefit I've seen being over there is, I mean, the average person gets something like 5 weeks vacation a year. And they and because of the geography, they have that advantage. They go to, I mean, we're an hour and a half from Belgium.
Right.
And we're in Paris. So I think that puts you at ease a little bit more. You see more of the world, and here we're so sheltered.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know?
There's also like, like Australia, after you graduate from their version of high school, you take a year off to travel, and it's like the standard. I don't know why
that sounded funny. Their version of high school,
because they call it like uni or something.
Schoolo.
Yeah.
Schoolo.
Yeah. They call it prawn. But yeah, it's, you know, they like make an emphasis, like go see some other place other than here.
Yeah.
Like, you realize that the world is not this little town you grew up in or this country you live in.
It's encouraged.
And it's almost the standard, you know, and just in general, you see it all the time. Like France, like you're saying, France making an effort that, you know, taking vacations is important and kind of experiencing, you know, the world. And that just isn't, we're such a work culture here that after you go to high school, you either get a job or you go to college. After you go to college, you get a job, and then you hopefully retire young enough to travel a bit in your RV to another state. Exactly.
Yeah, it's usually to another state. But I don't know if I definitely agree it's the work culture, but it's kind of one of those, I feel like those layered onions in that it's also, I mean, it's a bunch of things. I think it's also our attitude of us being the greatest. Like there's nowhere else you need to go.
Well, that's just a fact, though.
Well, true. Okay. Facts aside.
Yeah, facts aside.
Let me state my opinion. The U.S. is the best.
Yeah. Science. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, we're like 27th in the world now.
Yeah, that's a gold medal where I come from.
You know, what's traveling here? Like going to Mexico to party. That's like what the American version
in a sheltered
of vacation.
version. Yeah, it's not even Mexico.
Yeah, what are the resort or something?
Yeah, all inclusive.
They have tacos.
Yeah, don't leave your hotel.
Yeah, it's safe.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it is, and I don't know. That's always when people are like, "Oh, I went to Mexico." You're like, "Oh, that's cool." I was there. Like, it was great. We drank all we wanted. And
drank so much tequila.
We never left the hotel pool. And you're like, "Oh, great! Seems super fun, man." Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I got a buddy I work with, and he never considered traveling ever. And his wife was like, for our honeymoon, we're going to go to Thailand. He was like, all right. And he went and he came back and he was like, I want to see the world. I never even thought about it. And he's gone to like Germany, Italy, France, Sweden, and I can't remember where else. A shitload of places ever since. And he's just like, I want to see it all. You know, and like,
that's amazing.
He's like, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even like it was like I wanted to see America, like you know, like the Grand Canyon and Mount Rushmore or whatever, but the outside world never crossed his mind. I'm like, yeah, I've always wanted to see the world, so I don't understand that. But
yeah, I don't either. But I think it's easy. You know, another thing like coming back, like, and I don't know why it really stuck out to me, and it never did as much before, but like. The strip malls. I mean, everything in here is the way our culture is set up is just a million different ways to satisfy yourself or satiate yourself, like by buying shit.
Right.
And there's strip malls everywhere. And it like hit me this time. Like I would say like 80% of the time people leave the house, like outside of a job, if you leave your house, it's to go buy something, right? You're not going to go see a play or, an exhibition. I mean, you are the average person.
I am.
Josh is so cultured.
Just plays and meditation in a park. Thank you, Sergio. That actually wasn't good. Sergio hitting button. That was just kind of like when
just
I started.
Josh,
feeling,
that was actually Josh humming that. He's so cultured.
Yeah. Out to go feed the homeless. So much good coming out of me. But yeah. Sergio for 90% of the time, Sergio is just leaving his house to go. I don't know.
I'll get all the McDonald's fries I want.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know.
It was about how we don't leave our house first, unless we're going to a strip mall.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it was just that way of being insular. Like we just, there's no reason.
Yeah, we're addicted to comfort too.
Yeah.
It's just that like, it's easy if we go there. And then I go back to my warm house and watch my Netflix.
Watch Avengers in HD.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. HD. It's got to be HD.
I hate HD.
I know.
Do you guys like that?
That like super hyper. Where everything looks like a soap opera. Have you seen?
Yeah.
I thought we were trying to move away from that.
I don't understand.
And you can't watch, like, I admit the first time I saw it was literally like, it was like Iron Man or something. It looked even dumber.
It looks so bad.
Yeah. You're like, dude, that guy's dressed up like a fool. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Villains look stupid. They can see the makeup lines and stuff. You're like, that's. No.
Yeah, the bars around here are always playing like Star Wars or something, like the original ones, and they look like
even worse when it's
and the frame rate is wrong. That's what it is.
Yeah,
like they have the settings on the TVs wrong, so it just looks like the worst.
That is so weird. And have you ever talked to anyone that owns one? There was like, oh, it sucks in the beginning, but then you get used to it, and then you can't go back. I'm like,
everybody says that. I'm like,
really?
Yeah. No, I think it sucks.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
Yeah,
I know what good aesthetics look like because we're addicted to that as artists.
Yeah.
And that isn't it.
That is shit.
Yeah.
And isn't it weird too? It's weird to me. I was thinking about this recently with photography too. Is I'm trying to look at more photographers like contemporary, and it's all about sharpness and detail. And that's just like across the board. Like we're in this weird era of detail. Like movies have to be in HD.
Right.
Paintings have to be hyper realistic. Photos have to be sharper than your eyeball. Like it's overwhelming, man. Like we don't need that. Like
photos have to be sharper than your. Oh, I see.
Than your eye can see. I said that wrong. Sorry.
I was thinking knife for some reason. I was like, eyeballs aren't sharp. It took me a minute. Sorry. Also, my brain isn't that sharp, obviously.
Either is mine. But you know what I mean? Like it's all about detail, right?
Yeah.
Now. Like overt detail.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely addicted to it in some ways, for sure. But
like in what?
Like in my art. Like I love certain areas that have to cram detail in.
But I mean, okay, maybe detail's not the right word because I don't feel that way about your work. But I mean, like accuracy, like all that has to be real,
right?
More real than real.
Right.
Movies have to be more real than real.
Yeah.
Photos, paintings, like there's no flaw in air quotes.
I see what you're at. Yeah.
Like,
well, I have to know how the grass looks without going outside. So,
of course, every single blade.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Every blade sharp.
How about you, Sergio? You a HD guy?
It would have to be part of there's a reason that it needs to be HD. Which I mean, there's hardly ever any reason.
What would be a reason to an HD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me one, Sergio.
Because you're watching the Jabberwockies do their performance.
Right, the Jabberwockies.
Is that dance group?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did I know that?
Why do we all know it?
There is no detail because they have white faces.
That's why I pulled that reference out, was just because it was so ridiculously bad. But yeah. But you watch football. For the most part, the people that really push for it, that I know, they're like sports. Like
okay, I can kind of see that.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's the one thing I could see that being HD might make you feel like you're. But even if you're at a game, you're literally so far from the field you could barely see anything. Yeah. So it's the I don't know.
So you feel like you're on the field that way. Makes you feel better about yourself.
What do they call it? Like the 11th player or something?
11 players?
It's like you're the
11th player.
I don't remember
the 12th man.
12th. Yeah, 12th man.
Yeah, even with sports though, if you're gonna pick like some between being HD or like a pixelated, like the signal isn't coming in. But sometimes they do like those, I don't know, NFL sports films or whatever. It's like, well, it's possible to be somewhat artistic with the way that you film it, but it's just not practical to do it that way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'd probably prefer it to be a little bit more artistic, just so I can brag about being artistic while watching sports. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have my monocle and top hat.
Do you feel like you're Rudy deep down inside, Sergio?
I feel like I'm Tom Brady deep down.
Rudy.
That movie. Rudy.
Oh, the movie. Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't know his last name, but Rudy. He's like
I think he didn't have one.
He's like Cher.
He's Rudy. Yeah, he's like Cher Madonna.
Yeah. He's that big. Fuck. I don't know what we're talking about now. But yeah. So what's the plan now that you've done the showing?
Yes.
That night was awesome, by the way.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks.
Yeah,
you guys stayed the whole night. You guys were the VIPs.
My wife was very upset with me
Wow.
because I
Thanks,
was
MJ.
supposed to drive home, and
gee.
after we got to the bar, that plan changed.
What a saint she is.
She is a saint.
Yeah, you guys are the VIPs. But I have to give a special shout out to Cody. You guys know Cody Miles.
Oh, yeah, Cody
He
Miles.
was actually the last man standing.
Nice.
Oh, is he? Nice.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
I pulled the box.
Yeah, it felt like he wanted to hang out with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, he's off to
Tokyo.
Yeah,
Tokyo
he's trying to soak it in.
Yeah, everybody's leaving.
yeah. It's happening.
It is. Yeah, the great diaspora. Everybody's leaving.
But yeah. So what's next for you as far as how long are you gonna be in the States? Is there a plan on that?
Oh, here?
Yeah.
I'm leaving Tuesday.
How dare you?
Yes.
Okay.
You.
After Lincoln's birthday or whatever it is.
I'm out. I just want to stay for that.
Okay, good move. Good move. Honorable.
Yeah, President's Day. I'm all about it.
I respect
To
it.
hit the strip malls.
Yeah. We got to buy a few things before I go.
Definitely.
Salute the Prez.
A red hat, perhaps.
Yeah.
Nice. And then you're off to France pretty soon. Nice.
Yeah. So I go back to Paris on Tuesday.
Awesome.
And then, and then I got some stuff doing there. I started working, still kind of weighing out, I still don't know exactly how I'm doing it there, but I started working independently with somebody in Paris, and then kind of trying to do something in London.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just kind of
That's cool.
exploring that.
Yeah.
A little more independent over there. So I got a couple shows and things lined up.
Nice. How does that feel?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
Now that you're working independent with those galleries, does that allow you kind of to...
But they're not galleries. That's it. So when you start working...
You're like
I should
talking about
say her name or
McDonald's.
not.
You're like, I'm working at McDonald's.
Yeah, I got a job at that McDonald's that they owe me the fries.
Yeah. When I said working independently,
No, so when I got that mural out there, there's a girl, a woman, a la Goldenstein. I hope I said your last name right. All she'll ever hear this. But she's like an independent curator. So we're doing things that way. So she's helping me get like shows and stuff out there.
awesome.
As opposed to just like working with a gallery in one spot.
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool. She's awesome. She hooked up the mural there, and then like in October we'll be doing a show in Germany, and then we have some things like lined up in between.
Cool.
that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm excited.
We have 3 questions we never asked you, but we should do
Should I be
that.
scared?
We have these 3 random questions that we
Okay.
ask now. You might have heard them on the Delphine episode.
It's time for Sergio's Question Corner.
Oh, this means I get to avoid being critiqued by waiting to dry.
Yeah.
I heard that one.
we
there.
got that button.
I know you got the button.
I think
I've heard
with
that.
like repeat guests, we're like, we've put you
Okay.
through that
We just
Unless you
pretend.
want
Just got critiqued by waiting to dry.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But because I'm used to your TV. We did it for
Right.
TV.
Yeah.
We're at a Renee's. So.
Yeah.
Okay, the 3 questions. I think I remember hers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who are your top 5 living artists?
Sergio,
Uh-huh.
Josh,
Yes.
MJ.
Shout out.
Top 5 living artists?
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this when I was listening to that episode with Delphine, and I think I decided to opt out of it.
Remember
if I have
Tebow.
any.
Tebow is still alive at like 90 million years old.
Just like, I don't know. I don't think, my go-to is always Richter, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is the same for you guys, but this is like your experience with art change over time. Like, I don't, there's no favorites.
Right.
There's guys
Yeah.
or not just guys, but artists I did not like at all when I was younger that I love now and
Right.
vice versa. Although I'll say this. Oh, no, wait. He's not alive. Never mind.
All right, well,
Next
we
question.
could do Dead or Alive then. We'll make the
I
exception.
and I think it might have been that episode too. I don't know, but someone else brought this up, and I was thinking, who would I think would be the most important artist that's dead, or something along those lines? And I think I fall on Giger. He's probably my top dead guy.
Really? Huh.
Most important artist.
No, I don't know if it's most important, but when I think of like an artist, like he didn't go to school for art. He was supposed to be a fashion designer. So far, you're in.
Yeah.
Dude, that was all airbrush. Nobody could make airbrush cool. Nobody. Come on, just go to a carnival to see that. Like all the T-shirts. No one's done airbrush before or after. So he took a medium that no one else was doing.
Right.
And all that shit was out of his head. And I mean, I work from photos. We all work from photos. I don't see that as a crutch by any means.
Right.
But somebody like that pulls an entire world that no one's ever seen before. I've seen some people argue like, no, he took from this guy and he took from this guy.
Right.
Maybe he was influenced, but that whole world he created, it's fucking amazing. And then once he got into practical effect, like he killed it at that. I mean, the guy was insane. And then he made a train in his house, and that's fucking cool.
I didn't know that.
I didn't
Yeah,
believe it.
there's a it might still be on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it. There's one documentary that was done before he died, and it's actually kind of a bummer because it's the first time I ever heard him talk, and he has a really squeaky voice, so it kind of ruined it for me.
He talks like this.
Yeah.
And he was super stoked on his train. Like he commissioned this train that looked like one of his artworks. It had like all the biomechanoids on it, and he would ride it around his house. And they're interviewing his wife. And she was saying, she's like, yeah, we almost went bankrupt because of that fucking train. He spent all his money on the train. And I thought that was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
this dude has so much money and he just wanted to build a train. Like, he's not worried. I mean, he
Hilarious.
did his bar and all that cool shit, but he almost went bankrupt building a train.
Huh.
Giger is the GOAT.
Nice.
I
like it.
Yeah.
And the recent question I've been asking is there an
Talk some
artist?
shit.
Is there an artist that you hate?
Did you guys ask Delphine this?
That was the first person we've ever asked.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, man, those guys are really going for that controversial angle.
Well, what happens is I talk so much shit on this show that I'm like, let's see if I can push anyone.
Yeah.
in
No, that's
talking
good.
a little bit of
Can
shit.
it be dead?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say it alive. Because
Yeah. Because Sergio's sitting right there.
it's awkward.
He's right there. Sergio, take off your headphones real quick.
I love Sergio so much.
Yes.
Who was that? Where'd that come from?
It's our,
Different podcast.
yeah, it's our-
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're mining other podcasts for Sergio quotes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
They're not even
Damn,
talking about
son.
this Sergio.
Yeah.
No matter what Sergio says, that's true.
Yeah. Artists that I hate? That's a tough thing because I know there's got to be a gajillion. Wait, you want me to say names? He's mouthing something.
No. I have no one you in mind. I'm just interested in kind of, I don't know.
I feel like I say it all the time. Like I'm like, fuck, I can't stand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the
Blank.
whole idea. I mean, it's just me pushing artists to see
Yeah.
if they'll do it.
The thing is, I'd like to answer, but it's funny that on the spot I can't really think of anything.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
The reason being is I'm not a big Pollock fan, and so I just talk a lot of shit about Pollock.
Yeah, I've heard you. Yeah, and I like Pollock.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, how dare you?
yeah,
Get out.
yeah. Get out. I mean, there's so much like there's too many easy ones to go to, like Thomas Kincaid. Although I think he was a marketing genius.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Damien Hirst is just kind of shit. Jeff Koons kind of shit. What about? Let's change it. Who is the most? Well, I know your answer is going to be Pollock. The most overrated artist, dead or alive.
I don't know if it'd be Pollock. I might make you mad, but I would probably say pick asshole.
I love that. You don't make art, you make fart. Pick asshole was genius.
Genius. I wish I thought of it before him somehow.
Yeah.
That's why you got that look when I said the Picasso Museum. I saw a little
I've
sauce in your eyes.
I don't hate Picasso actually, but we've talked about it before. But there is this weird thing where there's a talking point that reoccurs where they say he could have painted like Rembrandt, but he decided not to, and I don't agree with that at all. I'm like, me and Sergio were like, let's look up his work and really look at it and see if there's any legitimacy to that. We like tried to find stuff that was on par with Rembrandt or anywhere near, and we're like,
have you seen his the stuff he did when he was like 11 or 12?
Yeah.
You don't think?
No,
I think
maybe for his age.
I think given the time, I don't think in 5 years he
Yeah.
would. But if he stayed that track,
maybe
I agree with that. Like in 30 years of rigorous painting.
Yeah, I mean,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
like, I know what you mean.
But the phrase isn't that, right? It isn't like if he would have stayed the course, he would have been better than Rembrandt. It was he painted like Rembrandt, but decided not to, and you're like, well, that's not necessarily true. So I can't respect that as. The reason being is because that's kind of a way they validate for people that don't understand his work.
Right.
They validate him as an artist.
Yeah.
But you go, well, you have to not say that because that's not necessarily true. It's the whole like Rain in France scenario, right? I'm like, you can say he was a very talented painter and that he decided to go this abstract route or whatever, but you can't say put him on par with the great painters and say he is that. And for that reason, I always have this like it irks me a bit, and it's like that part for me makes him overrated because it was a marketing. It seemed like a marketing or and maybe it wasn't even him, but the narrative behind him, the mystique or whatever behind him was that. And
no, I agree. I see what you're saying. I think it's marketing that people have done over time.
Yeah,
because I feel that way with when they say about him or any of the abstract artists, like the way that when they say like somebody chose to paint like that. So they'll say of Picasso.
Right.
And they say it in the way though that like at any moment he could have turned around and done something different. You're like, no, he couldn't have.
Right.
He chose to walk that path, but in doing so forfeited the quote unquote skill.
Right.
At no time could he turn around and all of a sudden do some amazing realistic drawing. You're like, no, he did not have that skill set.
Right.
And I think it gets worded in that way. Oh, I thought of something. Okay. Can I do it like this?
Okay.
Wait, did you want
to answer overrated artist? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I would, man, Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, those guys are kind of up there for me, for sure.
Warhol's probably a big one.
Warhol.
Man, Josh, why do we even get along? Because I love Warhol.
I mean, I don't mind
I do.
some things about Warhol, but overall, I don't know.
Yeah.
God, yeah, he might be my number one most
Are we
overrated.
actually
But we can
friends?
disagree.
I don't know if we're friends.
We can disagree and still be friends.
Oh, we could. You're right. This is America.
Yeah.
USA. but do you have an answer for that, for an overrated artist?
Most overrated artist?
Michelangelo.
In some ways, I would say Da Vinci. In some ways. Like the Mona Lisa is the most overrated painting in existence.
Well, it's all mistaken.
I think he was a better scientist than he was an artist. You know, like the when people had the debate over, and him and Michael, like for a short period, they were contemporaries and they were kind of button heads. Michelangelo is a far better artist, I think, than Da Vinci was. Da Vinci just had massive skill in drawing, which doesn't equate to being an artist. Because a lot of shit.
Didn't he sculpt too?
Da Vinci?
Yeah,
I believe he did, yeah.
He might have done some, yeah.
Because I remember I liked his David sculpture a lot. It was like a child David.
Oh, right.
I was like, that one's awesome. But I don't know. But why are we friends? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. We disagree on everything. But I think I do have one that popped in my head. It's not so much like an artist I hate, but it's an artist that did something that I hate.
Okay.
I got that.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah.
And so David Hockney.
Oh,
So
I know it. I think I know where you're going.
where am I going?
The how to paint or how the masters paint
yes.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that irks me to no fucking end. And I will
I
admit,
think I might change
What is this?
my.
I'm not even.
I might change my answer to Hockney now.
So Hockney did this. It was a book and a video series where it was the Secrets of the Masters. Or
Oh
something.
yeah, that's what it's
Oh,
called.
Where
yes.
his hypothesis is that from in a certain period of art, everybody traced.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's and I'll fully admit that I believed it for a period.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes like all the wrong arguments that you see of like anybody like, if you listen to any kind of critical thinking podcast or something, like Sam Harris and like the guys they talk about, he makes all those leaps in logic. And but based on the premise, like we know, like Vermeer did, there's just no two ways about that. He's kind of obscure, but he actually puts forth the idea that like, because in the video and in the book, he puts like art up on a wall, and so he tries to show. He's like, look, at a certain period, it got very good out of nowhere, and then it stayed the same and only got better. Therefore, they were tracing. Like I'm very much simplifying it, but you're like, really, you're gonna discount skill.
Right.
And it's even worse because it's something you said about Picasso made me think of this, where in the video he tries to make an example by showing it was like, I can't remember who the painting was, but it was like a 14th, 15th century painting, and it's got this very detailed chandelier, and he's like, there's no way a human could do that. So what's that, like the fallacy is like argument from personal incredulity, because he doesn't think somebody could do that, therefore nobody could do it. And so he's trying to draw, he's trying to do an example. It's like, dude, you don't have that skill set. You can't be doing this.
Yeah, you go through life like that. You're like, no one could make this chair because look at me.
Yeah,
and you just start beating wood together.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just like, you got a mallet and a beer can. You're like, so I can't make this chair. No one can make this. And I bought into it for a while, but then after I was like, that is such an absurd premise.
For sure.
Because like you take into account that, or you discount that whole realm of just pure art, like we're talking about, like, which is for me is exaggeration, not just abstraction, but exaggerating things. Right. And he said they were all like, any form of exaggeration was a distortion in the projection. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
So there, Hockney gets my award for that's the dipshit award. You're an artist, not a scientist or anything of the ilk.
I like it.
I like that.
Hell yeah, talk that shit.
Open the floodgates of hate.
And your last question, Sergio?
What would you do with David Cho money? How many fries?
I would buy a lot of fries. So that's what, 200 million?
Yeah.
Roughly. I wouldn't do anything David Cho did. He got himself into a world of mess.
I mean, he did, yeah.
Good answer.
I would just keep doing what I do.
Yeah.
But here, okay, sorry, because you put these questions, and then I turn them on you, and I sound very evasive. Because I've had this, lately I've been asking these questions with friends. If you had that money, honestly, would you still make art?
Yeah, I think
and would you be making the art you make?
I think so. I would hope so. Yeah. Well, one of my main answers to that is just like a shitload of public art. Not just for me though, but like just funding it in general would be like huge. Just give everyone that I think is awesome murals.
Yeah.
Being like, cool, we can do a shitload of murals. But yeah. But the idea behind the question is kind of, with an unlimited amount of money, is there anything in your art that you would want to pursue, but based off of lack of funds, you kind of are hindered?
Yeah, I would travel more. Definitely. I would like to have a one set studio, because now my studio, every time I go somewhere, I have to change studios. I would like to have like a one set studio somewhere that I could always come back to, like just a big studio.
Right. That's awesome.
With that David Cho dollar.
David Cho dollar. Awesome. Well, this is the episode. We've done it.
Sweet. Thanks,
Welcome
fellas.
back. Thanks for doing this again.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Have fun in France, man. Hope to see you there at some point.
You guys should come visit.
I would love to. We definitely are at some point, but
cool.
Funds, and we have to go to Canada this year, so
Canada?
Yeah.
Getting citizenship? You afraid of that wall?
Oh, well, MJ has citizenship, so all I gotta do is put that ring on. Too late.
She has Canadian citizenship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Was she born there? Or?
No.
Oh.
No.
MJA?
She has tri-citizenship. Yeah.
Where's the
Nicaragua.
What?
She's Nicaraguan. So Nicaragua, Canada, and America.
That's crazy.
She did it.
Damn, good for her.
Yeah, and I'm trying to take all those. I'm like, I didn't put that ring on the finger.
Now we see Josh as well, he's always thinking of something.
Yeah.
And it's always self-serving.
That's correct. That is correct. But yeah, I would, after this year, we're definitely planning on traveling. Europe is a big one, and France and Italy are like the two next, and Japan. Those are like those are the three countries you want to see. So yeah, I definitely want to go soon.
Yeah, I'd love for you guys to come. That's my thing. My new thing now is I want to get Americans, like people I know there, because I'm so hyped on Paris that I want to show people
I want to
around.
go eat some cheese for sure.
We'll eat cheese. We'll go to the Picasso Museum.
Hell yeah. But then after looking at it for 20 minutes, I'll start crying. And be
You
like,
may.
I finally get
And
it.
Sergio will start
After
pushing
I
some
barfed all
buttons.
my feelings out, I can finally feel.
My prejudgments.
I have to say, one of the funniest things ever was, and I think you guys reposted it, the Sergio being a robot.
Yeah.
I legit laughed out loud. I was all alone listening to that, and I was fucking in tears.
Yeah.
He said one single robot tear. That was good.
That was so good. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for doing this again.
Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah. This has been Waiting Dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.